It would only remind her of how awful she'd been at past relationships. Maybe she could crawl away. Though Lieutenant Toll had ordered all the camoufleurs to remain in place unless a civilian spotted them. Upon that occurrence, they were to assess their surroundings, select another hiding location, and try again. From what she could hear, the couple exchanged warm pleasantries and thankfully continued on. They hadn't noticed her. A smug smile lifted her lips. Clara wasn't slight of frame. No, she was taller and a bit more rounded than most of the other camoufleurs, which made her concealment a triumph. She hadn't always appreciated her height, but it had led her to learn not only to sew, but also design her own clothes, a skill that brought her to this place, helping the war effort. Just then, Clara's stomach decided to abandon its role as a vital organ and assume that of a jungle tiger. At least the couple was far from earshot. When had she last eaten? It didn't matter, she couldn't think of it, or... Another ravenous growl. She'd gained a lot more respect for the snipers who wore these camouflage suits. They camped out in no man's land for hours on end. Meanwhile, she couldn't keep her stomach mum for 40 minutes. Maybe curling more onto her side would quiet her stomach, or she could roll over and face the trail. Right now, she aimed at the footbridge, which, through the sheer face covering, afforded a pretty view of the blossoming cherry trees. Before she could shift, movement sounded behind her. Hopefully, the two lovebirds weren't returning, deciding this curve in the path was more secluded for amorous activities. This could get awkward. Perhaps she should make her presence known. Then again, she closed her eyes as if it helped her hear better. It couldn't be the couple. The footfalls were different. No sharp click of heels. Instead, there was a shuffling noise. Step, swish, step, swish. Whoever it was walking toward her seemed to be dragging something along the ground. Seconds later, another set of footsteps echoed on the walk, heavy, concise. Deep voices revealed the persons in question were both gentlemen, and unfortunately stood only a few yards from Clara. She wasn't one to eavesdrop, though even if she wanted to, she couldn't, not fully anyway, because the men conversed in German, which shouldn't be alarming except their hushed tones and shifty inflections almost suggested they were conniving something. Her parents' longtime housekeeper, Liesel, was from Germany. Over the years, Clara had learned the basics of the language, which helped her pick out snippets of the current conversation. She listened closely, able to identify the words crowd, April, island, and attack. She sucked in a breath. Island and attack. Her mind spun to the incident at Black Tom Island 2 years ago. Located in New York Harbor, it had been the largest munitions depot in the country. Though ruled an accident, it was widely suspected German agents had blown it up. The massive explosion killed a handful of people, destroyed $20 million worth of military supplies, and rocked the ground like an earthquake, sending tremors as far as Philadelphia. The shrapnel even embedded into the Statue of Liberty, closing it down for a while. Could these men be planning an attack? On Ellis Island, maybe? There were always crowds. Or what about Staten Island, Long Island? Her gut clenched. This was awful. She needed to warn someone. But what would she tell them exactly? The men finished their conversation, and she forced herself to remain still until their footfalls faded. Maybe they'd go in the direction of the bridge, so she could get a good glimpse of them. But no such luck. They retreated the way they'd come. She kept curled on the damp ground for a few more minutes, ensuring all was clear.